So, welcome back. If you've just joined us or if you're coming to watch, you've missed nothing on day 3 of Audi MedCup here in Cagliari. Regrettably, we've been waiting since about 1:30 on the race course for the wind to settle down and stabilize. We have a very different set of conditions today compared to the last 2 days. The teams have been basically out on the water all afternoon. It's now 3:45 in the afternoon here, or 4:45. They've had 4 hours of it. And we think we're going to get one race in now. I'm joined by Erwan Israel. Erwan, it has been a tricky afternoon waiting for that wind, but we believe something might be about to happen now.
Yeah, the wind seems more steady now. There were a huge lift and shift 2 hours ago, so there is nothing worse for sailor to have to wait, but now it seems it will be okay to have a nice and fair race.
So we're going to look at the Soto 40 situation. They've had just 2 races. Their first day of racing was yesterday. Iberdrola has won both races, and they're leading from Noticia 4, the second Spanish boat, and Goni, with owner-driver Tony Buckingham, is in 3rd, and the local boat, 22 Sardinia, is in 4th. The Sardinia Trophy, after 4 races for the TP52 series, things are a little bit more interesting. They've had 4 races, and there's been a different winner every time. Audi All For One heads the top through being the most consistent performer. Container was the overnight leader after the first race, had very poor results on the second day, and Quantum Racing had great results on the second day, but to follow up very poor results on the first day. So those 3 are at the top, but it's still pretty tight just behind that. There's a lot of sailing still to come. It's unlikely we're going to get, well, we're only going to get 1 race in today if we get any at all, even though we had 2 races scheduled, so we might try and pick that one up on Sunday. We're going to go out onto the water now. We can see the orientation of the course. The wind is about 145 degrees from the southeast, a thermal breeze, which is pretty much 180 degrees different from what we had on the first 2 days of the regatta. And we will join our commentary team on the water there. Andy Robertson, looks like we're going to get going.
Yeah, it does look reasonably promising at the moment, Marcus. We're just watching the regatta leader Audi All For One going upwind just now, and they're making good pace. We probably have probably 8 knots of breeze. It looks fairly settled across the course. That has been more of the problem this afternoon, finding the breeze settled rather than the simple matter of wind strength. The wind is round about 145, so it's going to run around about 10 degrees to the right during the course of the afternoon. The temperatures are very much more stable and settled now, and so you would think that there's a reasonable chance of getting this race away in a few minutes' time.
Well, Andy, we've been watching clouds a lot as well over the course. It looks a lot clearer now than it was earlier today, but we had certainly a lot of cumulonimbus activity about 2 hours ago, which probably made things very, very difficult for the race committee.
You're going to hate me for saying this, Marcus, but we've got another cloud coming over the course right now.
Okay. But are you able to tell us, did the wind drop off completely to still, or have you always had something that was sailable?
We always had something, but it was very, very light for a long period.
And what would you say the variations in direction have been over the course of the afternoon?
Over the course of the afternoon, probably about 20 or 30 degrees. You know, there's definitely something. When that dark cumulonimbus that you talked about came over, the breeze was right in the left, and there was a period that we had probably 10 or 11 knots, certainly enough to go racing. The cloud was moving reasonably quickly, and therefore it had gone in a matter of about half an hour, so there wasn't enough time to have a course laid and get racing.
So Erwan, with the sea breeze that has been there all day, although not very strong and not very stable, it's now nearly 5 o'clock in the afternoon. What do you think the evolution is going to be for this breeze?
I really don't know. it's a little bit tricky. It seems watching all for one course, they had quite a right shift, so I'm not confident for the course, the bearing of the course or the top mark compared to the wind actually, but it's probably the last chance until 6 o'clock. After the wind will decrease for sure.
And if you had to make a choice about which side of the course to choose, bearing in mind the lateness of the afternoon or relative lateness of the afternoon and what has happened today, would you be betting on a side, or would you be really working from minute to minute?
I think with this clouds you have to look the right area. You can't really trust the forecast, so yeah, you can see every tactician and strategist are looking the course and checking for the pressure, and even the guy in the rig. It's very important to have as most important information just before the start. So I'm pretty sure that they don't know actually where they want to start, and they are still talking about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of afterguard people looking upwind, or even sail trimmers there. It's Andy Hemmings on run, having a look upwind. A lot of discussion on board there, but we're still under AP, Andy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and at the moment, Marcus, if anything, the breeze has just faded very slightly. Looking, as I said previously, we were watching Audi all for one. They're now coming downwind under main and jib, but they're really hardly moving. A lot less pressure upwind. There's still some decent breeze on the line, but for me it seems to be fading a little bit just now, but we'll wait and see.
All the jib are packed on the foredeck, so
well, we're on board Synergy here, the Russian team. It's had a pretty good run here, won a race and had one bad result because of a penalty, but really should be further up the rankings than their current 4th place. But certainly be looking to use their strength in these conditions if they manage to get going. Well, we're looking at the committee boat there, and AP is still firmly attached to the top of the forward mast, and significantly there isn't a man at the bottom of that mast ready to hoist or ready to drop that flag.
Marcus, we're just hearing that there's now only 4 knots up at the windward mark, and so they're going to carry on with the postponement and see how things develop. But that, as we were saying previously, that's not a good sign.
No, indeed, it wasn't. Did you manage to hear what the wind speed at the top had been, say, 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke to them earlier on. They had the same wind strength at the windward mark as on the start line, and it was 9 knots, up to 10 at times. So, you know, they were certainly right to be motivated to get a race in. But we do see this quite regularly on the Med in the very late afternoon. The thermal breeze becomes unstable and starts to diminish.
We need to get those virtual eye guys to slow down the speed that those arrows are moving across the sea, don't they? It looks very windy on the virtual eye.
That's virtual.
But here we can see a man up the mast. So who is that? That's on Quantum, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. You'll see better than me.
Anyway, there's plenty of value to be at altitude on these boats. You can see a hell of a lot further upwind, but
yeah, it's amazing even for us on the TV cat. You know, you're on the deck level and it looks reasonable. Then you come up onto the flying bridge and you can see right up the course, and that's when you really get a perspective on how little wind there is up to windward.
when you see the crew, they seems very relaxed. They all seems very relaxed. I don't think they feel they will be racing really. They were smiling. We saw Rod Dawson smiling and joking. You don't feel he will sail soon.
Yeah, no, it's true. They are relaxed, and they know also that the race committee has got to make every effort here. There's a lot hanging on all of these races happening, and they're not just going to give up, because the worst possible scenario is to send everyone home and 10 minutes later the breeze fills in and becomes raceable.
Yeah, I know we say this all the time, don't we, that every race is crucial, especially if you've had the first half of the season has not been as good as you'd wanted, and you're running with low points just now. Certainly want to get some more good results on the board.
But Andy, looking back to Marseille and Cascais, we lost the last day of racing in Marseille because of too much wind.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if we've lost any days due to lack of wind so far, but
I don't believe we have. No,
I don't think we have, but we certainly raced, remember, in Marseille in very light winds, and you know there is certainly enough wind pressure just about at the moment to go, but they just need a settled direction. It just puffs up for a few minutes and then it just dies away.
And there is, I believe, a time limit on each leg of the course, Andy. So if they start,
that's right. But I mean, to be honest, you know, if they start, then generally they have some confidence that they'll get up the leg within the time limit. It's fairly generous, but you know, you really do need the thing to go glassy before you start to worry about the time limit.
So of all the boats out on the race course there now, Andy, how many of them have got mainsails hoisted and how many of them have got jibs hoisted too?
Everyone has their mainsails up. The only person with a jib just now is Audi All for One. But otherwise everybody has mainsails up, and I think at least 80% of the fleet have got someone at the cross trees up the second spreader level looking up the course. So I mean, it's been a long day waiting, but everybody is absolutely poised, ready to go. But you have to say that even at this level, you know, you really have to be able to click into gear to go racing, but also into a light wind mode, which after 2 days in winds which have probably averaged high teens, it's not necessarily easy.
Oh, and if you've been sitting out all day in that heat waiting for racing to start, you have to be careful to make sure you don't get dehydrated, or how do you manage yourself as an athlete in a situation like that?
Yeah, the problem for sailor is you don't know if you will wait 1 hour or 6 hours. So generally the first minute you stay concentrate and you stay on deck, and if you feel you won't race during 2 or 3 hours, for sure you have to go inside the boat or to have a shadow somewhere and to drink water and maybe have a small rest for those who need it. And it's very hard. That's the worst things for sailors to have to wait longer and longer.
It is a bit disconcerting seeing Audi All for One sailing along quite nicely with a bow wave and some white water there, and knowing that just slightly further up the course there's probably half, if not even less than half, the amount of wind speed that there is at this end of the course. Andy, can you see how far away it is that the wind drops away?
No, to be honest, it just fades gradually up the course. But one observation, as you say, is that Audi All for One have been the team that have been sailing most religiously in this light pressure. And you know, as we're talking about a lot of sitting around and waiting today, to actually have sailed your boat in these light conditions that you're potentially going to race in, but knowing that you've had your numbers and knowing that you've had the boat up to maximum speed in the right conditions, it really does give you a little bit of confidence. We can just pinging the pin mark, and certainly Audi All for One are quite keen to go racing by the looks of things.
Now, significantly, they're leading the standings at the moment, and also significantly, they're the boat that has been going well, or consistently well, in the stronger and medium breezes, and they're obviously confident with their boat. Now a lot more confident than they were at the first 2 regattas, where they had a series of fairly mediocre results. It'll be interesting to see if they get going, how well they perform in the light as well.
Yeah, certainly. We've just got Vasco coming past us on Audi Azura at the moment, and he looks extremely relaxed. Just laughing and joking with our media guests on board.
So looking at the scoreboard again, after 4 races for the Sardinia Trophy, the 3rd event of the 2011 Audi MedCup circuit, Audi Azura, we were just talking about Vasco Vascotto, they're in 7th place, a whole 10 points back off Audi All for One now. There are only 7 boats on the course, so that's quite a lot of points to try and pull back. But Audi All for One nicely poised there at the top. They've 3 points clear of Container. I think had by far the most consistent scoreline with a 4th, a 1st and 2/3 so far. Did we hear some more? We hear some more information there?
Yeah, they say they have raceable conditions now and the pin's down. They're going to try a start.
Okay. Well, that's great news.
As well as many reasons to sail this evening, because they are last at the ranking, and we know Italians are very good in light swings. They are good feeling, so I'm sure they want to race.
Yeah, this is perhaps what the Mediterranean style conditions are that the Italians grew up with. They certainly do have a reputation for being able to find their way around in this sort of stuff.
So they know how to go fast and where is the win.
So looking at Container here, that's Victor Mourinho going up the mast. Sunglasses off to give him a better perspective up the course. Victor Mourinho's a Spanish sailor on the German boat. He does the strategy on board Container. Okay, so 4 minutes to AP down, which means we're 10 minutes from a start. Yeah, it's all starting to come alive again a little bit now, Andy. We're on board Synergy here. They're starting to think about making some serious arrangements. You see the jib on the foredeck still in its bag.
So AP's coming down in just less than 4 minutes. And also nicely set up now. They're just having a look at the first part of the beat, settling down into race mode with the race heads on.
The start in this swing is very crucial, because if you are not full speed, you can lose very soon 2 or 3 boat lanes. So the start will be very important, more important even than when we have more wind like yesterday. Still 2 jib on deck, so maybe we don't know yet which one they will take.
I think they've made a choice now. You see one headsail going down below. It's Rod Dawson, the tactician on Synergy, looking upwind.
Yeah. So the wind's round at 170 now, Marcus.
Uh-huh.
2 minutes AP down. 75. 175.
175 they're calling on Synergy.
Yeah. It's going right all the time then. We started at 130, 135 early in the day.
Now that's the sort of thing that you expect maybe at this time of day, the evolving sea breeze airline. What do you think?
Yeah, but it's very quick lift,
so
I would say it's more because I would say more because of these clouds, because it was 30 degrees in 10 minutes of time, so that's not a serious lift. So the question will be, does the wind will come back on the left as soon as these clouds will disappear, or will the right will pay all the time?
It could have been a situation where the cloud was holding the wind artificially to the left as well. But we'll see. So here comes the jib now on Synergy.
minute, inside 1 minute AP down.
Okay, there's the man underneath the AP flag. 30 seconds to the AP down, which will be 6 minutes to the start. So if you've just joined us, you've missed nothing so far today other than a long wait. We've had no racing today on day 3 of the Sardinia Trophy, the Audi MedCup. We are about to see AP be brought down, which will signal 6 minutes to the start of the one and only race for the TP52s today.
6 minutes. Thinking right side,
It seems Rod wants the right side
Yes,
of the
right.
course. Let's confirm what we told. Having the right side during the press start with light wind is very hard, so we will have a big fight probably at the committee. I mean, you can have the right, but if you are low and you have to tack soon, it's not a big advantage.
So it's 5 minutes to the start now of the first and what will be, if it takes place, the only race for the TP52 class on the 3rd day of the Sardinia Trophy. We've had 4 hours of waiting for the wind to stabilize. And Andy, is this the best we've seen all day?
Yeah, close to it. It's interesting just now, there seems to be quite a lot or reasonable wind pressure on the line, and just to the right of the light seems to be coming off. There's some quite reasonably high mountains out to the high right. There seems to be a little bit of downdraft, some cool air coming off there just now, and that's coming down onto the start line, but not as much breeze as you move up the course. So presently you'd possibly be trying to make use of that on the right hand end of the line, but we will see.
So that's 4 minutes. A lot of last minute talk going on board the back of Audi Azzurra sailing team. Vasco and Francesco Bruni, they're both discussing it. Navigator discussing it, pointing of fingers.
Yeah, to the left course, to the left side as well, so it's not so clear, I think, for these sailors.
Time to be hitting. Time to be getting back.
3 minutes. So this is when the boats start to decide which side they want, or start to make firm options on the side of the course they want.
Interesting, Audi Azzurra and Audi all for one locked together just now.
12 kilo ley line, 130 to kill.
2 minutes and 20.
Yeah, otherwise Quantum out towards the right of the lineup.
120.
Yeah, these two are.
I think in general you'd be looking at the right of this course just now. A little bit more pressure off the line for sure, and certainly less further up the course on the left and the high left. So from that standpoint, then Quantum certainly looked to be setting up for the committee boat end of the line along with Synergy. They're taking a view perhaps more towards the middle. Ran probably setting up for the pin.
35.
With Brave on there, we're going to have to go before low.
30 to kill, 4 below.
Quantum set up early and going to protect that side.
3 below, 25 to kill.
Synergy in fact. Quantum roll them.
3 below, 24 to kill.
Maybe sister ships, but there's no quarter given on the start line.
23 to kill.
So 1 minute.
1 minute, and at this end it is Ran and Audi all for one.
They're going to be slow, I think. Ran and all for one still on port tack with 40 seconds to go.
They don't have far to get up to the line, but it does look like the breeze has gone quite far right. Looking at the height, that I think it's container, I think, are in the
30 seconds.
Pole position, along with Bribon. Actually, it is Bribon on the committee boat. They look to be very high in the ley line.
20
Quantum
seconds.
just underneath them. Yeah, everybody looking just a little 10 seconds to go. Just a little bit slow just now. Audi's Azura actually have a nice spot in the middle of the line. Container a bit slow.
Synergy, beautiful start on Synergy. Really nice out there on the right.
Yeah, very good start. They are much faster than Bribon on Quantum, so that's a very good move on them. Alpha One and Ram were fighting more for the left.
Actually, Audi Azura showing well to start with. Just jumping ahead, half a bow length ahead of the boats to weather of them. Certainly nicely positioned just now relative to Audi all for one. Synergy also going well just now. They're sailing just a click higher than Audi Azura. Container not looking so clever just now. Half a boat length back on that first pair just now.
So we're on board Synergy looking under the boom, and we can see Container and Audi Azura. Synergy looks to be in very nice position. They've got a nice gap to leeward there, and there's nobody on either side of them really going to give them some trouble. Audi all for one is the first to tack across.
Ribbon will probably tack soon because they can't survive where they are, so they probably wait to cross all for one to make a lever on them.
But it was interesting to see that start, you know, just as we were saying before, all about the need to find your maximum speed off the start line in these light conditions, the relatively light conditions. There was a few boats that weren't quite there in the final seconds. Container being one of them. In contrast, Synergy and Audi Azura really were pin sharp on the line.
But Synergy looks to be a little bit headed there from this perspective.
They are. I think they're also trying to squeeze on Quantum a little bit. Quantum just above them. It's going to be interesting to see how Audi all for one fare going out to that right side just now. You would expect as they converge with the high land that they might start to get a lift on the starboard tack once they get round. Saying that, Ran on this extreme left of the pack have no obvious hindrances in terms of their breeze. They have a nice lane. We can see Nicholas Zedstrom just digging into the pressure, just keeping the bow down, sailing a little bit fat, just going for maximum speed just now.
Ribbon has tack also. So we have two boats going on the right and 5 on the left for the moment. Impressive speed from Synergy, and they had a very good start and they could build speed very well, and they benefit the speed at the start now.
Yeah, now the big test is going to be whether Audi Azzurra can stay there or whether they're going to drop in.
They don't look too bad just now, Marcus, but it is absolutely maximum concentration on board just now in this very modest breeze, still only 8 knots probably.
Well, we're looking at the overhead view courtesy of Virtual Eye, and it's pretty clear that Ran has on the far left has got a maybe half of a boat length advantage over Audi Azzurra, but the two boats that have gone to the right now are not looking particularly good. It's still pretty early days, but I don't know whether it's because of pressure, which must be, but they've also done 2 tacks, or there's one that's tacked right back now, but minimizing the number of maneuvers in these conditions as well is going to be crucial as well, isn't it, Owen?
Yeah, for sure. In this wind, you probably lose 2 or 3 boat lengths when tacking, so you have to tack the less as possible. But I'm surprised Bribon try to survive windward of them, of this pack. So let's see what they have in mind.
And Quantum tacked away as well now.
Yeah, I think Quantum have actually tacked into some decent pressure, though looking over to the very far right where Audi all for one are. They're looking a little bit tired over there. Not a great deal of breeze, but their investment's only really going to pay off once they get onto starboard and once they tack. But for me just now, Ran still in good pressure over on this side. Seem to be sagging very slightly into perhaps a little bit of a knock, which would be good for them on this side of the course.
So Synergy tacked right on top of container there and caused them to tack again. So that's 2 tacks in a very short space of time. That'll be very, very costly for the German boat.
Absolutely, they're pretty much dead in the water just now. Looking for speed. Audi Azzurra doing very nicely just now.
Seems Bribon is doing quite a nice starboard tack, huh? And Alpha One as well has nice gap there. So it seems they have a good win finally on the right. Huh? Bribon prefer to go back to the center to control a little bit, while Alpha One test the wall right side, and maybe to take a very big advantage. They are taking some risk. We can see on the track that Ran and Azzurra are lifting on the right as well, so they can't really tack now. So waiting for either.
We leave the race 5 of the TP52 class with a big split across the fleet. The left-hand side looks to be advantage, but we're going to go and look at the start of the Soto 40 class now. There's 7 minutes to go to their start. Andy, you're on your way back down to the start line.
Yeah, we're heading back down to the Sotos to watch their start, but interestingly, their windward mark is at 165, and so that suggests the breeze has got about 5 degrees left from when the TP52 started.
And it would be fair to say that so the weather mark for the Soto 40 class is not as far to windward as for the TP52s.
It's 1.6 to 1.6 compared to 1.8, I think.
So the standings for these Soto 40s after just 2 races of the Sardinia Trophy has Iberdrola leading with 2 wins, and Noticia, the second Spanish boat, is on 2nd place, and Goni in 3rd, and the local boat 22 Sardinia in 4th. And interestingly, both the 1st and 2nd race has seen exactly the same scoreline. The same boats came 1st and 2nd and 3rd and 4th in both races. But I think the situation will be very different today, Andy, as you were saying earlier, because of the completely different set of conditions that we have. Certainly the local boat 22 Sardinia will be, again, local with Italians on. They'll know what to expect here. They won't be so compromised on the boat handling side of things in these lighter airs. A lot more finesse is going to come into sailing the boat fast in this. And again, as Owen was saying earlier, it's all going to be about the start here. Certainly with a small group of boats like this, it's going to make a huge difference to have your way out first.
Yeah, the speed is very important, but the start is very important, but the speed as well. When you have only 4 boats in a fleet, you can survive at a bad start. When there is more boats, it's just harder. The big help they have is they see what's happening with the TP52 fleet. They're probably looking at that for the moment, and they will make a choice from what they see.
So 5 minutes for the start of the Soto 40 class for their third race. If you've just joined us, this has been a long day of not an awful lot happening. We've just got the TP52s off on their first race of the day. They are probably at this stage a third to a half of the way up their first beat. We've come back down to the start line to watch the Soto 40 start, and we'll sail upwind with them after the start and meet up with the TP52s as they come back down towards us. And we're on board here today, 22 Sardinia, the local boat. There's a bit of discussion going on in Italian style, lots of gesticulation. Four minutes.
Seems the wind is building a little bit on the race area.
The light looks to have changed dramatically there, Andy. I don't know if that's just...
The sun's just moved round a little bit, out from under the cloud that we had for the TP52 start. A lot of looking upwind just now from the...
C'è più pressione sul centro-destra, quindi infatti ti ho detto.
Iberdrola have been good in the light. They were always one of the better boats in the TP42 fleet before.
3:15, 3:10.
Centre right is what he's saying for the wind, I think. My Italian isn't that good. Sinistra is left.
I've understood middle, but I don't know if it was middle left or middle right.
Middle right, I think he said.
Yeah, at the moment, of course, what they do have is they do have the benefit of looking upwind to see what's worked for the TP52. So at the moment, I think the right is actually looking quite decent. Breeze seems to have shut off on the high left. I don't know what you can see on virtual. But there seems to be a big header up on the high left just now for the TP52s. Certainly pretty funky looking just now from our perspective down on the start line. Obviously the TP52s are probably about halfway or close to halfway up that beam.
2:05.
So 2 minutes now to the start of the Soto 40 class.
So two Spanish boats seem to be lining up together on the right hand side of the pack.
1:40.
Such as it is. Iberdrola punching out a little bit further. I clearly want the to protect the committee boat end of the line, the right side.
1:30.
1 minute 30 seconds, yeah. Still reasonable pressure down here, probably 7.5 knots.
All these boats fighting for the right side.
One minute.
So that's interesting. Then at a minute, you can see Iberdrola happy to protect that right side just now.
So a lot of shouting there from the Italian boat to Ngoni was very close to windward.
Italian just trying to herd the
40
fleets that were
seconds.
coming in from leeward and really being quite aggressive in their tactics, I would say.
Hard to say if
Killing
this
off
leeward boat
Ngoni
can close
just
the door.
I would think that in a fleet this size you don't need to...
There's going to be a shutout here at the committee boat. I think the Italians have managed to hold the rest of the fleet up really high.
yeah, Iberdrola might just get away with it. Iberdrola just...
10
a little bit of
seconds.
space
They're
there.
very slow.
Very good move
Oh,
from this leeward
fantastic.
boat.
No, they're caught. Outstanding. What a start.
Very good
Absolutely
job.
fantastic. Well done.
How
So
to win friends and influence
the
people.
local
eh?
guys did a great job there. They shut the entire fleet out. And they're off, and they're sailing probably twice or 3 times as fast. That is a big jump.
Yeah,
to get
VMG is
straight
probably
away.
2 times better.
And that's the view from on board the leading boat at less than a minute from the start. And they have all 3 of them right behind.
Absolutely, nice work. Absolutely.
Well,
They jump out to a 3 or 4 boat lengths
Fuori a
lead,
palla,
and the interesting thing is that certainly in 4th position for me just now would be Iberdrola. Iberdrola tack
Vedi a
off straight
virare
away,
da
punch
dietro.
out to the
No, 10
right,
secondi,
and
porta la
Tony go as
barca.
well as
Porta
did
la
to
barca.
Natisius
5
tacked
secondi a
away. So
virare.
what will 22 do?
3.
They are not so calm with
there's
such a
certainly
good
they,
plenty
start.
of
and
talk
that-
going on board.
Difesa porta la barca.
Nice little aggressive opening gambit. They need to protect themselves and cover the fleet.
So what we could see on
That is the
this
kind of
start,
thing that you can do in a 3 or 4 boat fleet, you know. Just shepherd them onto the wrong side of the committee boat, and that's something that they'll have discussed, I'm quite sure, from early doors.
Owen, what were you going to say there?
yeah. So what we saw is Sardinia was the last boat to tack at 1 minute before the start. They can choose the best ley line, while the 3 others were just too early on starboard and they were vulnerable over ley line. So that was a very good move from Sardinia to match the speed, to keep them overlap on windward. So very, very good job.
They'll be feeling pretty pleased with themselves there, but a good start does not a race make, although they certainly have a 6 or 7 boat length start on the fleet at that stage is certainly going to help them on their way as they find their way around this course and start to learn how to make these boats go.
Devi far camminare. Mario, fuori come ti ho detto io, schienare.
Iberdrola going nicely though. They've a nice lane down to the right of the main pack. Good pressure. Just concentrating on their own boat speed. Seem to just have a little edge just now. Pressure is coming across from the left just now. You can see 22 just heeling a little bit more as they get another knot of pressure. And there you go, looking up the course just now for the TP52s. The right very definitely did pay off, and Audi all for one of a big lead.
Dimmi quando la senti troppo orziera, eh?
Yeah, it seems that the long tack is the port one. Huh? So maybe Alpha One did a big gain on port finally and managed to tack with some right at the end, maybe. Or so that's quite easy for Sardinia now. The long tack is the port one. They just have to keep going, controlling the rest of the fleet leeward of them.
They have to also, I think we just saw that on the virtual feed, the overhead view, they have to make sure that they don't drop in and that they can match the height of the other boats.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. If anything, 22 dropping very slowly into Natisia, who in turn are getting a little bit of a squeeze from Tony Buckingham and the guys on Ngoni. But Iberdrola very impressive just now with their light wind speed.
Yeah, Iberdrola seems faster on leeward, maybe touch more wind. Or good boat handling.
So we're on board 22 Sardinia here. A team that completely nailed the start, locked out the other 3 boats at the committee boat end. Looking at the back of the head of, I think his name's Lorenzo Gemini. Extremely vocal when he wants to be there, but he's certainly given the team the confidence to put themselves where they needed to be at the time. And there's no shortage of dialogue now as they head up this first beat. So I think we just saw Noticia get bounced off there, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Noticia was just
Really
windward
not what they
of-
want as we, you know, you can see a little bit more pressure as you go into the right, up towards there's an oil refinery on the shore up on the high right. As you head towards that, there's darker water in that bay, and there's obviously a little more breeze there. That's what Jochen Schumann and Sebastian Koll obviously saw and used. And the converse of that, there was very much less pressure on the left. And so we're just heading up just now to join the TP52s, where Audi All for One, the regatta leaders, have a lead of about probably 40 over, I think it's Bribon, not sure. Certainly a white kite, white hull.
Well, significantly, Noticia has tacked back. Once they cleared their air on the lead boat, they definitely want to go for the right-hand side here. Minimize their losses as much as possible.
Yeah, just talking about that breeze in the bay, it's interesting that Audi Azura are going back to the left, coming downwind. And Audi All for One are matching that and covering a bit, and Bribon are in the middle of that. Quantum Racing, the circuit leaders, appear to be a decent third just now.
So looking at the Soto 40 class, Iberdrola's just tacked. He's crossed ahead of Ngoni and is going to cross behind 22, but they are much closer now than they were off the start line.
Yeah, good gain from Iberdrola. So the choice for the tactician of Sardinia is not easy. He can choose to control, or he can choose to leave him and just sail where he sees there is more pressure. So it's probably wonder what's a good decision to make now.
But at the same time, the Iberdrola crew will be trying to influence them to come back, knowing that they probably are better in their maneuvers. And
yeah, exactly. They can play with that.
looks like, yes, they're getting a little right-hand turn, and we can hear them talking about a destro on board 22.
They don't panic, that's very good. Iberdrola to tack another time, so Sardinia made probably the good decision now.
To keep going.
Yeah. To keep sailing quite relaxed, I would say. Not so relaxed, but as much as possible when you are leading.
Nice right hand. He's going to continue. This is all gain for them. It's also going to be good for Ngoni relative to Iberdrola, because they're going to get to that first as well. Now they have to start making the judgment as to where the ley line is and where it's going to be when they get closer to the mark.
You can see the tactician trim the runner as well in this boat. That's a lot of job if you have to call the tactics, the ley line, the runner.
Tutti fuori. Con calma, ragazzi, con calma. Possiamo andare un pelino veloce. Non fatevi preoccupare, tranquilli, Prendi a camminare verso la boccia, la in prua. Punta quella cazzo di boa e vai. Hai anche un ottimo destro, non pensare grande.
And Goni taking as well. Interesting to see how Iberdrola can attack compared to Ngonia. If they can do a libo, they will do. If they cross your head, it's even more easy.
But a lee bow might put them in a compromised position relative to this boat, though.
Yeah,
So
it could be.
Arrivando un attimo, pensa a portarla a casa. Vedi che appena la mollo perdi velocità. Guarda quanto cazzo ne hai perso.
yeah, as you said, a lee bow on Ngoni, but they are safely to windward of 22 Sardinia, so they're not going to be affected by them. But Iberdrola back in the match here.
Notisra try to stay leeward of this guy, thinking they will be over ley line, so they try to fetch the ley line from their position. That's a good move as well. Maybe they can do it.
Well, certainly, unless they have tacks to do at the end, they'll close the gap with some of the boats immediately ahead of them.
It's always better to approach with maybe even 2 tacks than being over ley line for a while. So that will be good anyway, even if they have to tack twice.
Well, if you've just joined us, we're in the first race of the day for the Soto 40 class. The TP52s also are in their first race of the day, 5:30 in the afternoon, and we've been waiting for more than 4 hours for the wind to stabilize enough. We're on board 22 Sardinia, which is the guest boat for the Sardinia Trophy here in Cagliari, and they made a fantastic start by locking out the other 3 boats at the committee boat end. And the lead Iberdrola currently by probably 4 boat lengths as they head for the first mark for the first time.
So it seems during this upwind there were touch more pressure on the right side, so the downwind will be interesting. Will they go for a jibe set or just keep going? It's less risky to do a bear away maybe, so interesting to see.
Oh, now that's interesting. Iberdrola tacked away, obviously were getting affected there by 22. I think we're going to go back to the TP52 race now, and we are approaching the first gate. We left the course. Here is Audi All for One that's made a very good first lap of the course, the overnight leaders, and they're currently leading the 5th race.
Very good maneuver, good timing, mainsail very trim.
Andy, you've been watching this race a little bit more closely than we have recently.
The breeze has picked up a little bit, Marcus. Audi All for One come round and good pressure with a comfortable lead over Bribon. Quantum will probably come in round 3rd.
They both take the same mark, the left mark, so it seems the wind is still lefty a little bit compared to the start. Yeah, we can see with the track.
Yeah, 19 meters, so 40 meters gain around that side.
Right mark.
Quantum get round in 3rd, a little bit untidy with the jib. They'll get that sorted out as they come round. They have a little bit of distance back to Audi Azura in 4th. Synergy coming in with speed on the onto the left-hand gate mark. The kite's still up. Going for a late drop. And they get round. Certainly just now probably equidistance between the top 3 boats. Audi Azura attack immediately out to the back to the right. Ran on the right hand gate mark, go right too. And there's Container again back in 7th place.
Well, if we just go back onto how that happened, we saw that Audi All for One started on the left-hand side, didn't make a particularly good start and tacked away when they could and took every single stern and went across to the right-hand side. Bribon went with them for a little while and then came back, but that pair was furthest right all the way up the beat, and they are now 1st and 2nd on the race course as the fleet tackles this 2nd windward leg.
Stand by tack.
So now the long tack is the port, like the previous one. So it's probably more easy to control when you have a long tack like this for All for One. We see Ran decide to swap the mark, to go for the right mark, to be sure to have clear air on this long port tack.
Andy, talk to us about the conditions then. We heard
the pressure had built a little bit, more or less, as Audi All for One came round the leeward gate. Just probably a knot or a knot and a half more breeze now, and that really is to Audi All for One's advantage just now. They have stretched a little bit on Bribon. Certainly the top 2 boats at least have clear daylight back. So about a third of the way up the beat just now. And the breeze has gone around to 160, we've heard. Hence the reason that Jochen and Sebastian Koll are protecting this left side. And they do seem to be quite high relative to Quantum. Quantum immediately to leeward, about 350 meters, something like that.
Well, we're on board Synergy here, looking under the boom at Quantum, in front and to leeward. But yeah, so looking at the overhead situation, those 2 boats on the left, just as you said, Andy, have got much more of a left-hand breeze. They're probably 10 degrees higher.
And they are almost fetching the mark, huh? They are almost ley line already.
Still pretty risky to be that far out on the left. It's exposed, because if it keeps going that way.
Yeah, they're almost on the ley line this side just now. Not a long way off it.
That's a bit a speed test for all these boats now.
Well, sometimes a regatta comes along nicely for you, and Audi All For One seems to be having a great event. They are the overnight leaders. They had a very consistent scoreline, and they find themselves in the lead here, having taken every stern to get across to the right-hand side. Now, whether that was because they were compromised and they had to get out there, or whether things changed during the final countdown to the start and they realized that the right was starting to come good and at all costs they had to get there, we won't know. But anyway, they found their way out into good pressure and have a reasonable lead here of about 100 meters over the rest of the fleet. But it's light, it's late in the day. It's 5:45 here local time in Sardinia. We've been waiting 4 hours for the breeze to settle down to get this one race off today, so still plenty of possibilities to take place on this race course. Looking at the crew on Audi All For One, that's Philippe Morniac there just behind Jochen Schumann. He's the navigator, talking to him about the heading and how much time left on each tack and what's going on with the other boats. And we're going to go back now to the Soto 40 class and see how they are getting on at the start of their first run on day 2 for them. Looks pretty quiet down there, doesn't it, Owen, on the right-hand side? Well, here's the first Soto 40 coming into view. I think they're still in the lead. It's number 22, so that's the Sardinian team. Andy, you're back with us there.
Yeah, we're just alongside 22. Pressure is, if anything, is building from this left side of the course looking upwind. And 22 have that well covered just now.
What sort of gaps are there between the following 3 boats, Andy?
Yeah, there's not a big distance. Certainly, Noticia and Iberdrola are very close, and Nagoni just a little bit further out to the right, looking downwind, more or less on the track of 22. So this would be a great result for the home team and a reward for that punchy starting manoeuvre.
You could see the gate was very biased on one side, so we can see some things happen there. If one boat change mark and decide to go to the right mark, you can lose a lot with that move.
Well, we certainly haven't had all 4 Soto 40s in the same view before on this regatta. So this is really the closest race they've had so far, and as we say that, Noticia jibes away, followed by Ngoni.
I think 22 will stay with it just now. There is a little bit of pressure where they are just ahead of them. They've still got a fair bit down to their leeward gate.
So what Noticia is expecting is the wind keep going on the left, keep backing, so they could gain few lengths with the 2 leaders.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bella tonda Roby, bella tonda, bella costante. Orda bene, ok.
Letizia seem to have profited a little bit just now. They're in a slightly different breeze, a headed breeze on that left side, sailing a deeper angle than 22.
They were looking at the overhead view as well, and I have to say that the same situation is happening for Iberdrola. I wonder if Sardinia went a little bit too far there.
Yeah, I think that the key thing was they still had pressure. They still had the old pressure, if you like, whereas there was a little bit of a puff and a knock out. Yes, that tactician on Letizia decided they wanted. They've got over there. They've used that. They've come down on that, but they do seem to be getting a little bit lighter. They are still sailing a nice low angle, sailing quite deep, getting more directly towards the leeward gate. 22 though do have good pressure on this side, sailing a slightly higher angle, but are nice and quick. So no shortage of breeze over the course area as a whole, but what we are now seeing in the very late afternoon is different pockets of breeze, just varying across the course. Bigger wind shifts and bigger variations in pressure, so it's real heads out of the boat time for all the crews, looking up the course to see how things are developing.
They're looking pretty good there, I think, Owen. You'd have to agree with the virtual footage. It's in a nice position, and as you say, they
if Sardinia still have clear air, they will be fast at the top bottom mark, so it will be good, but I think Iberdrola can catch up a little bit.
Però portatelo in assetto il fiocco, ovviamente.
Well, we saw all for one tacking up there, so maybe there were a change of course. You don't see it.
Non spoggiamo troppo. Ovviamente mai nata da sopra e poi si trova.
Well, if you're just joining us, we're in the second race of the second day of the Soto 40 racing here at the Sardinia Trophy. This is the only race that's happened today. It's nearly 6 in the evening here. We've been waiting for the sea breeze to fill in for 4 hours. We've now got a race off. The local team that we're watching here, 22 Sardinia, nailed the start by locking out the other 3 boats at the committee boat, and are now approaching the gate, dropping the spinnaker to take the lead, to maintain their lead and start the second upwind leg.
Very, very close on the gate, Marcus. But Iberdrola held their kite longer, coming to this right-hand mark, looking upwind, sailed slightly greater distance, but sailed it quicker. So in fact, they both really do go down the leeward gate at pretty much the same time. And the question now is who's going to profit in which side of the course going upwind. Iberdrola punching out to this right side, the local boat Sardinia 22 going for the left.
This is Noticia coming round in third.
Nice rounding from them, all in all. And Nagoni have a little bit of work to do.
Well, the virtual feed here is showing the lead of 22 Sardinia dropping all the time. They now just have 10 meters on the advantage line over Iberdrola, and the pair are diverging with every boat length that they sail.
Yeah, Iberdrola have definitely come into pressure since the leeward mark, and have just made their tack now. We'll get a much better perspective as they complete the tack and settle down onto their course. Get a really much better view of how they've fared relative to the team who were leading.
Siamo fermi, eh?
Well, it's perspective from Iberdrola's point of view. That's 22 in front, but a long way to leeward. And the question is, with that lateral separation, who's going to have the best pressure? Where would you rather be, Erwan, at a time like this?
It's hard to say, but from what we see, I think Sardinia can cross ahead, but the virtual says that. Iberdrola did a very good maneuver, but probably the wrong mark. The line was, the bottom mark was biased, so if you go to the wrong mark, you lose quickly 2 boat lengths.
They do seem to be on the inside of a lift now. I don't know whether...
Yeah. Things changing all the time, but Iberdrola do have just a little bit more pressure on this side just now. Just see the crew hiking a little bit more as the breeze comes on for them.
We can see Iberdrola crew hiking very hard, doing a good job. Sardinia seems to take, so we'll know very soon if they can cross ahead or not.
That's interesting. Here come 22 out on their after their tack. They seem to be pretty decent on Iberdrola. Iberdrola choosing to tack.
Well, that's pretty telling.
It is telling, and I think that we're in a lift for 22 just now. They really are sailing a very nice race.
They chose their moment there, and that was probably pretty key in the big scheme of things on this weather leg.
We have the same impression than with the TP52. The windward boat on the left is higher and touch faster. We saw All for One having a nice speed compared to the other one. And we feel Sardinia is touch higher now.
Interesting though, one to watch at the moment was Nagoni out the far right, and good pressure in that bay and sailing very high.
Well, we have the overhead view here to help us with that perspective, Andy. They certainly have a lot of lateral separation.
Yeah.
The advantage line just looks pretty poor actually for them at the moment.
Yeah, the problem for them though is they do have a bit more pressure in that bay. Their problem is that they're on they're lifting on this tack, and they really want to be punching into a header there.
So we've just seen All for One still in the lead ahead of Brebon, and we're going to go back to that course now to the TP52s. Are on their last run down to the finish of race 5. This is the only race that they've sailed today, and this boat, Audi All for One, has led pretty much from halfway up the first beat. We didn't see the end of the first beat, but they went out on their own on the right hand side, hooked into something good, and have sailed pretty smartly since then.
I think it was as much that the left seemed to collapse as the fact that Audi All for One went that early right. Remember, they had to cross all the sterns to get out to the right. They didn't really have any options on the left. and that seems to have been to their benefit. The left did seem to fold on the last third of the beat, and they profited then. And Bribon, if you remember, I think started very close to the committee boat, and was one of the first boats to tack out to the right.
You can see a lot of the crew coming out from inside of Audi All for One in these light conditions. When you're on a stable
these kind
leg,
of conditions just now.
you put a lot of people inside, but they're starting to think about maybe getting ready for a jibe. Still a way off. Oh no, here comes the jibe.
And there they go. In fact, all three of the leading boats jibe at the same time.
Oh,
Breeze is very very shifty just now. Looking at the position of Container, who were doing so well on the overall circuit leaderboard.
You can see the
7th just now.
we can see the staysail was ready. Finally, I was thinking there were not enough wind to unfurl it, but they decided to unfurl. Controlling Bribon, they are in the best position now. Leeward on in front, very good position in front of the shadows of Bribon.
so on board Synergy here, we can see the situation behind Rod Dawson there. Synergy still on starboard, but Audi All for One, the red spinnaker there, just on the left-hand side of the screen, it's pretty small. And then we look at the virtual perspective. Synergy is worrying about Audi Azura immediately behind. Here comes their jibe.
So Synergy chose to jibe before Azura on run. It means they cross the shadows of these boats, but they can maybe control easier for the rest of the leg because the long leg is the port one. You can see on the forehand some guys are hiking, while in Synergy everyone is inside the boat.
Well, if you've joined us, you're watching the last downwind leg of race 5 for the TP52 class. Audi All for One with a lead of 74 meters over Bribon. Bribon's doing pretty well on this leg. They've come back into this race quite a lot, but these two are quite happily out in front and have basically been ahead all over the way around since the first weather mark. Audi All for One was leading the regatta before this race, and they aren't far away from winning this race, which will be their second win of this regatta. The Sardinia Trophy will only consolidate their position at the top of the leaderboard.
And they have one boat between them and Quantum, which will be nice for them. Quantum have just taken that hitch out to the right, looking downwind, in good pressure. Bribon going very nicely. Just making a very small gain, I would imagine, on Audi All for One. Schumann just sailing slightly higher now. They were sailing quite a deep angle earlier on. Just coming up to protect themselves a little bit on Bribon. They'll just go across the face of Bribon, I think. Bribon jibing now, and there go Audi All for One. big red kite. Nice work, but you see that Brabon have come right back into them. They will just just protecting themselves.
But Quantum moving up in with third place in this race, or looking reasonably good for a third place here. That's going to leapfrog them over Container, and they'll move up into second place overall on the Sardinia Trophy. And this will also help their situation overall for the 2011 Audi MedCup season.
Certainly of the top three in this race, they're the ones who are most looking at the big picture, the season-long championship. Audi All for One would definitely love a regatta win after the season they've had so far. But they're pretty deep on the overall standings. So this is a very useful race for Quantum Racing just now. Just closing out the final 300 metres is Audi All for One. Pull the bow down, just squeezing past the pin end mark in the finish to take their second win of the regatta. AP over A, as we see there. No further racing today. Brabon gets second. Quantum will come down and get third place.
Synergy managed to cross ahead Azura another time. That was close, but it's okay.
I think Synergy is probably going to move up into third place overall now.
Yeah, and they're pretty steady, aren't they?
They are.
Audi Azura were good in this race early on, and once again have faded. Container making a late charge onto the transom of Rams. I don't think there's going to be enough runway left for them. They are jibing, or trying to get down to jibe for this committee boat end of the line. But meantime, Synergy roll through the finish line. Certainly have to congratulate the race committee for their patience and persistence. It's been a good race. Audi Azura go through then in fifth place, and then Ran and Container in sixth and seventh.
So there it is. Container closes the finish line for the TP52 fleet on day 3 of the Sardinia Trophy. We only had one race for them today because of lack of wind all afternoon. We had to wait 4 hours for that race to happen. And after 5 races, the standings looks like this. Audi All for One consolidate at the top. Quantum Racing, as we thought, move up into second place. 6 points off the lead at this stage. Synergy up into third. Brabon's done pretty well. Container, the big losers, dropped down 3 places today as a result of that. And Ran and Audi Azura make up 6th and 7th place.
All for One increased a lot their gap with the second. Huh? Container did last while they were second at overall, so that's a very good day for All for One.
So we're going to go on board and get an interview on Synergy.
So Rod, how we eventually got going, how was that race?
Yeah, well, we wanted to start at the committee and then be one of the first boats to tap and take the right-hand side. We didn't quite get the start we wanted, so we didn't get as far right as we wanted, and the boats that got further right made some pretty big gains, and they were the first couple of boats to the top mark. So we didn't have a great position at the top mark, but then we fought back the whole race and made some little gains here and there all over the race course and ended up 4th. So it was a bit of a comeback for us.
Thanks very much, Rob. I'll take it
Well,
over
there we have it from Rod Dawson, tactician on Synergy, the Russian boat. He's not from Russia, of course, but is able to tell us how that was for him. But that kind of answers what we thought was going on there. Owen, the right-hand side of the course, they wanted to go out there. But certainly seeing Audi all for one dip every single stern to get out there right from the beginning.
Yeah, we don't really know if they wanted right from the beginning or not, but what is sure, when 041 went on the right side, they decided to go fully on the right side, on the right corner. They took this risk and they gained with that, so that's a very good tactics from them, and we can congratulate them for that.
So we're back with the Soto 40 class now on their last run, and the approach to the weather mark was obviously good for 22 Sardinia. We saw them being threatened a little bit by some of the moves that were being made by Iberdrola, the class act so far of the Soto 40 class, but they've kept their cool and they still have a nice lead, 50 meters. It's probably about 4 boat lengths at this stage, and they're heading down this last run, about a third of the way down the last run. Iberdrola will always be trying to dictate what happens here. They're probably better in maneuvering and probably know their boat significantly better than the crew on Sardinia 22. But the reality is that they're not fools on Sardinia 22. We saw that at the start. They sailed fantastically to block out the entire fleet of 3 boats behind them, beyond the committee boat. And Iberdrola really wants them to make a mistake. It's the only way they're going to get past. But they haven't made any yet.
They are sailing very safely. They don't look after too much what Iberdrola is doing. So I think that's a good decision for them. They probably would lose if they do match racing with Iberdrola. So they just sail safe. That's very good.
Andy, I guess you're charging up the course to meet this fleet.
Yep, indeed. And in actual fact, the pressure seems to have built a little bit in this final leg. Looks really quite nice.
Interestingly, Ngoni is quite a deficit, but they are coming all the way out on this side. I don't know whether you can see better pressure on the left or the right at this stage. If you say it's still strong,
It's certainly there's big variations just now, but the main pressure is on the left, round about where, in fact, the leaders are. But I guess that in fourth and Ngoni feel they've got not much to lose.
so here's the cross now. 22 Sardinia goes across the bow of Iberdrola. We left it too late to jibe now. If they wanted to stay with him, they're going to keep going, Owen.
Yeah, they are just doing what they did from the beginning. They sail safely. Ah no, they are jibing finally. So the next move will be to match the jibe of Iberdrola, and they will probably be ley line. They are in a good position now. The only chance for Iberdrola is that Sardinia collapse their kite or something.
So we're going to go and do a replay from where we left the Soto 40 class, approaching the second windward mark, and see how the top of that run. So here we are approaching the second windward mark. Sardinia was in the lead. Iberdrola was about 60 meters back at this point. Everybody did bear away sets, and the gap between them really stayed pretty similar most of the way down here. Noticia was first to jibe, then Iberdrola. And we are now at this situation where Iberdrola has come in closer to them. probably half the deficit they had.
Iberdrola attacking, driving and driving. So now Sardaigna is controlling them. They change their mind. Maybe 2 more drive to go.
Well, we have your pictures again now, Andy, looking at 22. They just come past you.
They're just coming down to us, Marcus, but really it is exactly as you said earlier, a few minutes ago, that Iberdrola really are just pushing into 22, making them do more manoeuvres, putting the pressure on them. We could see there was a small gain there to Iberdrola through the last jibe. And they're coming down with a little bit more pressure. The helmsman of 22 just trying to keep the bow down. We could sail slightly deeper than Iberdrola just now.
Concentration is on now. They're down to just 20 meters gap, which is not quite 2 boat lengths for these boats on the advantage line, according to Virtual Eye.
Iberdrola pushing pretty hard just now. You can see the kite is nice and eased, and the boat's well loaded up and accelerated for the wind pressure. 22 trying to sail deeper, slightly slower. This is really when you have great communication between the trimmer and the helmsman. And if you've been sailing in these conditions, certainly this is fairly typical of the likes of Valencia, where they trained early season. They really are going quick for these conditions. And 22 right under pressure.
I wonder what is the apparent wind angle on this boat now, but I think Sardinia must be very close to the shadow of Iberdrola. These boats are not so far away, maybe 100 meters, so the shadows is still important.
Okay, here comes another jibe from Iberdrola.
Iberdrola jibing with pressure. Just a little puff rolling down the course to them. 22 have that puff, but Iberdrola are right back into them. It's down to probably a boat length and a half.
Oh.
In fact, Iberdrola pull the bow up to go round their stern. And 22 have to decide what they're doing. They're going to roll on, carry on out to the side, but I don't think there's very much of this at all now. Iberdrola going to...
Oh, whistles.
Whistles.
I think that was green. I can't see it. Maybe you can see it. Yes, green flag.
That was closer.
Yeah.
But the main difference between these boats is Iberdrola is driving outside drive. They think there is enough wind, while Sardinia is set up for inside drive. So outside drive is probably faster now, so that's why Iberdrola is gaining and gaining.
And Iberdrola have done nicely out in that right side, and I think probably actually 22 have a little bit more pressure on this side, but Iberdrola have had a better angle sailing across there. Got one more jibe to go and it's going to be extremely close.
Well, the virtual feed would show that there's been
very early on that sheet.
The virtual feed would show there's been a turnover here. Iberdrola has taken the lead.
Very slow after this drive. Huh?
Yeah, Iberdrola, the pin end is probably closer to Iberdrola just now. Line slightly biased to the right side looking downwind. But 22 come out of their jibe with nice pace. And they're aiming for that pin end of the line as well for the buoy. Just keeping the heat on. It's extremely close. It's going to be a very, very tight finish. 22 have better pace just now coming out of that jibe. They've been sailing higher. Iberdrola sailing low and deep towards the pin end of the line, towards
10
the
meters
buoy.
between them now. This is going to be very, very close.
Yeah, I think 22 are there or thereabouts just now, but They're going to have to make a jibe, I think. They're not going to get to Iberdrola.
Well,
So Iberdrola is allowed to have some room at the mark, but
I think there's plenty of room. I think 22 is in the middle of the line.
22 are just going to get there by half a bow.
Oh,
Indeed they do.
Look at that.
So pretty happy guys on board 22. First win for the local team on their home waters.
they deserve this win.
Give them that. They've enjoyed that race for sure.
When we saw the start, they deserve this win. Amazing start from them.
Yeah, they're not unhappy on that boat.
Third.
Don't see enough of that when people win races.
That's right, they'll be dancing in the streets of Cagliari tonight. That was a win that they really did craft from the start line with that punching starting strategy.
So that concludes racing on day 3 of the Sardinia Trophy Audi MedCup here in Cagliari. The Soto 40 class has had 3 races now. Iberdrola still leads 2 firsts and a second.
1.8.
And Sardinia 22, we see the mover. They've moved up from 4th to 3rd. Noticia still in 2nd and Ngoni in 4th. So that's it for racing today. We have more racing scheduled for tomorrow. The coastal race for the TP52 is tomorrow, and the Soto 40 class are scheduled to have 2 races. We may well have an interview with one of the crew from the Soto 40 Sardinia 22 that just won that race. But fair play to the race committee for being patient and getting the race in.
Voto partenza 10.
He's happy about his start. And every right to be. That was masterful.
Allora, è inutile che ognuno. Vediamo il motore. Per arrivare primo. Se te sei dritto è Ozzano. Liberare la pompa. Ma poco, ma io sono passavi. Però.
You'd think they were having a big fight, but in fact they're all congratulating each other.
Grande. Che mi pigliava la poppa perché io gli ho levato la poppa. Ha ragione. Si fa sempre. Sì, io gli ho levato la poppa di 2 metri. Un attimo.
Okay, Andrew. Okay, Andrew. This is the crew that just won their first race in the Soto 40 class.
2 giorni ci bastano a noi, 2 giorni.
Bisogna che lui, un po' queste spalle lo prendiamo. E lui deve avere pazienza, non deve avere pazienza.
Ok, perfetto.
Però lui ti può anche dire via.
Chiama Mario Alberto per un'intervista in inglese.
Okay, here comes the interview.
Mario, intervista in inglese, ci servi? No, ma qua devono essere intervistati i Taylor che ci hanno fatto camminare in poppa, non io, fatto un cazzo. Roby, più che altro,
sei divertito?
perché
You enjoy the regatta?
guarda che se ci pensi.
No, loro.
Se ci pensi, però siccome adesso abbiamo vinto questi ma sti cazzi, il mare chi ha vinto? Il mare chi ha vinto? Voto 10, ho detto voto 10 alla parte.
Li ha messi tutti in riga,
Però poi
They're too shy to do an interview in English. I think that's what the problem is.
Italian would do.
ha lavorato lui, tutti.
però ogni incrocio ci riprendeva.
Quello era importante.
Però io sto sperando la regata di timone adesso.
Ooh. Bottle nearly went over the side there. They saved it.
Mario, Camille.
Translate the question for me.
Yeah, okay.
You can speak in Italian, it's fine.
Ma non solo io però, dai, tutti. Diglielo. Everybody, tutti qua, raga. In diretta. Che è qua tra noi, il nostro
Chi è che si è fatto male nel sangue?
So here's the crew of 22, winners of the first only Soto 40 race today, race 3.
Com'è?
Alright, how does it feel to win your first Soto race?
Come si sente, come ci si sente a vincere la prima sotto 40, la prima regata in sotto 40?
È un sogno che si realizza!
It's a dream come true.
Okay. Did you have a strategy leading into it? Or did you just rely on the team to get you through?
Avevi una strategia per vincere o hai contato molto sulla squadra?
Allora, il timoniere ha fatto una partenza da 10, anzi 10 e lode, poi per il tattico è stato facile, abbiamo solo controllato gli avversari. Farei i complimenti in particolar modo a tutto l'equipaggio, ai due Taylor che ci hanno fatto camminare in maniera velocissima, Jacopo Trudu, Alessandro Gemini, Luca perfetto nelle strambate, Checche perfetto nella mainata e Mario Alberto ottimo elemento, Ignazio Diaz alla randa perfetto e nello stinca innesto di esperienza.
Right, last one. A couple of really close calls in there. Were you ever worried?
Alcuni incroci erano molto vicini,
Sì,
eri mai preoccupato?
È stata una regata tirata, la tensione c'è sempre, io dico però che per vincere bisogna stare tranquilli nei momenti in cui la regata si fa dura. Noi siamo stati bravi, possiamo ancora migliorare in questo senso però.
Alright, brilliant. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, well that's the excitement from that team. They've Very happy about that race, Owen. We're going to leave it there today, and as I said before, we've got plenty of racing still to come Saturday and Sunday. The Audi MedCup Sardinia Trophy continues with coastal racing for the TP52 class tomorrow, and 2 windward lewards for the Soto 40s. We'll see you back tomorrow.